very generous. I mean, it's been so slated, and I guess it means people are talking about it. Maybe that's a good thing. But I think essentially, when it's young people, it is best when young people are talking to young people, and that is where this other group, if I can give them another quick plug, called We Are Europe, are doing well. They're the ones who did that mural. Some people might not like it, I wasn't quite sure, but the one where you've got Boris and Trump in this embrace. And, I mean, I don't particularly necessarily like it, but it's gone very viral with many young people. So they know what it's going to be that's going to turn people out. And I really agree with what Nick said, that it is absolutely young people's futures at stake. In terms of higher education and some of the links to be made with young people in the universities and things like the Erasmus program, which is a fantastic program to allow research and people studying in other EU countries very easily. We've got someone from the National Union of Students, the former president, is on the board of Stronger In, and she has quite an important role on that. And I think there's just so much evidence to suggest that the kind of collaborative value added that you get when you've got different universities from different countries coming together to work on projects is really exciting. I mean, as a Green, whether I would celebrate Airbus as necessarily the most important example of that, I'm not sure, but I would love to hear of some lovely environmental technology, some renewables, whatever, that would no doubt make the same point just as eloquently. Sorry, there's so many bits and pieces down here. The thing about jobs, I'm not quite sure I understood the point that the very first speaker at the back was making, but if you were saying, and apologies if this isn't what you were saying, but if you were saying that there's only a finite number of jobs and therefore the more people you've got coming in to take them, then there will be fewer to go around, and I don't know if that was what you were saying, but if it was, I would just say that I think that when you've got entrepreneurial people from other EU countries coming into our country, they do actually create jobs themselves. I mean, I don't think it is a zero-sum game. It is a more dynamic process than that, if you like, and so I think that there's more to be said for the way in which people coming into this country are actually beginning to create jobs. Many of them are starting up their own businesses and so on. So I think it's more dynamic, and I think as well in terms of where we're going to have most influence in terms of reforming the EU, I find it hard to think we're going to have very much influence outside the EU. And one thing we haven't talked about very much at the minute is the fact that there are movements in many other EU countries right now that are also trying to make the EU more democratic and accountable and so on. There's a thing called DiEM25 that was set up by Yanis Varoufakis, the former finance minister in Greece, which is all about trying to make the EU more democratic and accountable. There's something called Plan B. There are many movements in many capitals around the EU with people coming up with ideas of how you could make this institution more responsive. And some of it's not rocket science. I mean, just simple things we could even do in our own government and parliament here in the UK. So, for example, why at the minute do we only ever cross-question ministers when they come back from a Brussels summit? We don't actually ask them what mandate they're going with and try to feed into that kind of mandate before they go. There are kinds of things that we could do as well with the whole kind of European scrutiny in Parliament that isn't done terribly effectively to my mind. So I will stop because I'm rambling, but essentially I think there's lots that could be done to reform the EU, but we're better off trying to do it inside than outside.